Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Tammy McCann, and I'm so honored to be with you tonight to celebrate all of the wonderful work that Neighborhood Housing Services does here in Chicago and throughout the nation. It's absolutely a pleasure for me because my husband just happens to be the president and CEO, Anthony Simpkins. We've got some wonderful music planned for you this evening, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I took a trip on a train and I thought about you. I passed a shadowy lane. I thought about you. 2 or 3 cars parked under the stars, winding street, moon shining down some little town, and with each beat, same old dream. With every stop that we made, I thought about you. And when we pulled down the shade, I really felt blue. I peeked through the crack and looked down the track, the one going back to you. What did I do? I thought about you. Took a trip on a train and I thought about you. I passed a shadowy lane. I thought about you. 2 or 3 cars parked under the stars, a winding street, moon shining down some little town, and with each beam, same old dream. With every stop that we made, I thought about you. And when we pulled down the shade, I really felt blue. I peeked through the crack and looked down the track, the one going back to you. And what did I do? What did I do? Oh, what did I do? I thought about you. Okay. Funny the way that I feel now. Can't keep my feet on the ground. Everything seems so unreal now when you're not around. daydream. Why do you haunt me so deep in a rosy glow? The face of my love you'll show. I walk along on it, building a castle there for me and my love to share. I don't know the sky while I'm moving around feeling hazy. Daydream, don't start my revelry until I find that he daydreaming just like me. Is daydreaming like me. Don't stop my revelry until I find that he is daydreaming just like me. Is daydreaming like me. Daydream with me. Yeah, yes, let's get a drummer song. Let's get a drummer song. Yeah. daydreaming, daydream. One, two. Now, I think you all are familiar with this song. I'm sure many of you have heard it before. I want you to picture yourself on a nice sandy beach. Well, I guess it is Chicago in January, so you might be a little cold, but just picture yourself on a nice sandy beach. I know this song will come to mind. Tongue my tall and tannin', young and willing, the boy from Ipanema goes a walking, and when he passes each girl he passes goes Oh, I said when he walks is like a samba that swings so sweet and swings so gentle, and when he passes each girl that he passes goes yeah, 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 yeah. I said but oh, but I watch him so sad. I wonder how can I tell him I love him? Yeah, I would give my heart gladly, but each and every day that he walks to the sea, he looks straight ahead, not at me. Tan and young and so fine, the boy from Ipanema goes a walking, and when he passes I smile, but the boy won't look at me. Sadly, I wonder how can I tell him that I love him so. I say yes, yes, I would give my heart to that boy so gladly. Every day he walks to the sea, he looks straight ahead, not at me. Tall, tan, and young, and so fine, the boy from Ipanema goes a walking, and when he passes I smile, but the boy just won't look at me to see if I was looking back to see if he was looking back, if I was looking back to see if he was looking back, but he wouldn't look back at me as he walked down to the sea. The boy looked so good to me and everybody else, 'cause he had one of those little bitty you know what he had on, and he really looked good to me. He really, 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 really looked so good to me. I was looking back to see if he was looking back to see if I was looking back, if he was looking back, but he wouldn't look back at me as he walked down to the sea. He wouldn't look at me. Is not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It is of your sweet and I feel you so close to me. All of my wildest dreams come true. I need no sublights to enchant me if you only grant me the right to hold you ever so tight and to feel in the night the nearness of you. When I'm in your arms and I feel you so close to me, all of my wildest dreams come true. To hold you ever so tight and to feel in the night the nearness of mystery of our fading light that shines upon a caravan. Sleep upon my shoulders as we creep across the sand so we may keep the memory of our caravan. This is so exciting. You are so inviting, resting in my eyes as we thrill through the magic charm of you. Beside me here beneath the blue, this flame of love is shining upon this desert caravan. That shine so bright, the mystery of our fading light that shines upon a caravan. Sleep upon my shoulder as we creep across the sand so we may keep upon this desert caravan. This is so exciting. You are so enlightened, resting in my arms as we thrill through the magic times of you. Beside me here beneath the blue, this flame of love is shining through upon this desert caravan. think of you. Darling, I think of you. Day in and day out, day out, day in. I needn't tell you how my days begin. When I awaken with a tremble, one possibility in view. The possibility of baby seeing you. Come rain, come shine, I meet you, and to me the day is fine. Then I kiss your lips, the pounding becomes the ocean's roar, 1,000 drums. Can you see love? Can you be any doubt when there is day in, day out? Day in, day out, the same old hoodoo follows me about. The same old pounding in my heart whenever I think of you. Daddy, I think of you. Day in and day out, day out, day in. I needn't tell you how my days begin. When I awaken with a tremble, one possibility in view. The possibility of baby seeing you. Come rain, come shine, I meet you, and to me the day is fine. Then I kiss your lips, the pounding becomes the ocean's roar, 1,000 drums. Can you see love? Can there be any doubt when there is? There it is, there it is, there it is, day in, day out. Yeah. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for spending time with us this evening, for contributing to all the wonderful work that NHS does. On piano, we have Mr. Tom Viatsis. On bass, we have Mr. John Sutton. And on drums, we have Mr. Sam Jewell. Again, my name is Tammy McCann. If you'd enjoyed any of the music that you heard tonight, you can go to tammymccann.com and download it just for you. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mayor Lori Lightfoot here to congratulate everyone at NHS for your unwavering commitment to our city's great neighborhoods. Because of your work, countless city residents are now on the path to affordable homeownership, with our communities on the road to recovery and revitalization. And I want you to know that in this effort, you have a partner in me and a voice in City Hall. One of the things I'm most proud of as mayor of this great city is our launch of our signature economic development program, Invest Southwest, which has harnessed investment across our government, business, philanthropic, and community sectors, all toward laying the foundation for the long-term transformation of 10 historically disinvested neighborhoods on Chicago's south and west sides. In just the first year, we've invested more than $70 million in public resources into these targeted areas and mobilize more than $300 million in private and philanthropic commitments. And NHS has played a major part in that. My entire team at City Hall very much looks forward to continuing our partnership with everyone at NHS as we push forward on our shared mission of community engagement and creating real, tangible results for our residents in our communities that need it most. Congratulations to you all once again, and please, everyone, remember to be safe.
Good evening, everyone. I am Marisa Novara, Commissioner of the Chicago Department of Housing, and I want to take this opportunity to thank NHS for its valuable assistance, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. This past year has shown us that the need across all our neighborhoods is even greater than we imagined. Those impacted by the pandemic still require support and access to much-needed resources to make it through, and we cannot meet that need alone. When we look for reliable partners to help us quickly deliver results, NHS is at the top of the list. In fact, we reached out multiple times over the course of the last year for help distributing rental assistance grants, for mortgage assistance. NHS and your committed staff is always ready, willing, and able to do what it takes to help stabilize the lives of our residents and their neighborhoods during challenging times. We appreciate all that you do, NHS, and in partnership together, we will continue our efforts to end housing disparities wherever they are found. I am so grateful, in fact, for NHS that even though I miss him terribly, I am so glad for you that Anthony Simpkins is heading up your efforts. Miss you, Anthony. Thank you all.
2020 was a year of unprecedented challenges and perhaps the most difficult year NHS has faced since its founding.
There was a lot of chaos with the city and different entities talking about COVID-19, discussing what should be done, whether and when you should shut down.
Many businesses not deemed essential were ordered shut down to reduce or at least slow down the spread of the COVID-19 infections. For an organization like NHS, with connections in the community, this presented a significant challenge.
We had to figure out a way to pivot to meet the needs of our clients, and we were able to do so quickly. We were able to transition to an online platform to deliver our homebuyer education classes, our financial fresh start class, and others, and they've been very well attended.
Another area where we went into action was the area of food insecurity.
When COVID-19 hit, we noticed that there was a gap, and the people who were disproportionately affected were our seniors. And so we wanted to help with that, especially with food insecurity. We value the people in our community, and we want to be able to help the members of our community in any way that we can.
We're not considered essential like a grocery store or other entities, but we became essential very quickly.
NHS partnered with the City of Chicago to provide over $1.5 million in critical rental and mortgage assistance grants to those impacted by the economic fallout following the COVID-19 pandemic. We also partnered with Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Illinois Housing Development Authority to reach individuals statewide in need of emergency mortgage and rental assistance.
A safe and affordable place to live is what everybody should have. And I want to thank NHS for their partnership as we navigate through this incredibly difficult time for so many of our Illinois families.
At first, it was just a health crisis, but then that rolled into this becoming an economic crisis. We had to help people access these essential services. We delivered food to seniors in the neighborhoods. We're delivering information. We're utilizing our networks and relationships to bring those essential resources to the community. That's NHS, and that's neighborhood revitalization to me.
NHS remains committed to working in neighborhoods to effectively serve our communities for years to come.
Many of the people here at NHS grew up in these neighborhoods and still live in these neighborhoods. The people that we serve at NHS are not just clients, they're our neighbors, and they're members of our family.
Welcome and good evening. Thank you for joining us for Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago's annual awards event. Our program tonight highlights the commitment of leaders across industries to provide actionable ways to improve our communities and the families who live, grow, and play in the neighborhoods challenged by marginalization. As many of you know, NHS has been challenging the status quo that began with redlining since its founding. Today, the agency continues to work towards equity in access and resources, where continued disinvestment has meant poor outcomes for families and Black and Brown communities as a whole. NHS does this through partnerships with outstanding community agencies and thought partners such as those represented tonight, as well as those through support of businesses and philanthropic leaders. Together, working towards the same goal of equity and inclusion, we can truly have a transformative impact, impacting not only the lives of the thousands of families NHS serves each year, but also the region as a whole. Tonight, in particular, I want to extend a special thanks to our chair, Mr. Scott Swanson, and Transformative partners, PNC Bank, US Bank, and State Farm. Thank you to our honorees and panelists who are working across sectors to affect change. Thank you to our trustees and board members, the NHS Cornerstone Society members, the Metro Board, and NHS dedicated staff, all without whom none of this would be possible. NHS's work for economic inclusion and equity is important to residents, communities, and the Chicago region as a whole. Your presence in this room tonight indicates that this work is important to you as well. We believe lifting up all communities by tackling established ways of doing things, assumptions about risk and benefit, and norms will lead to a stronger, healthier, and more prosperous region. We look forward to working with you in new ways and with new partners to broaden and deepen our impact. I am now pleased to welcome Mr. Anthony Simpkins, our new President and CEO of Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. Anthony has recently joined NHS, and we are so glad to have his leadership and expertise to lead the agency forward.
Thank you, Rob, for that introduction and for your many years of commitment to NHS. Your leadership has been and continues to be really invaluable to us. I also want to thank Mayor Lightfoot and Commissioner Navarro for their kind words and for their unwavering support for NHS, but most especially for their commitment to racial and economic equity for the families and the communities that NHS has worked hard for over 45 years to support. You know, I've worked with NHS for many years, and I'm so proud now to have the opportunity to join the NHS family and help to implement a vision of growth for us as an organization and for increased impact for the families and the communities that we serve. You know, the past year has been really challenging for everyone, especially for the residents of the communities that we serve. But our dedicated and professional staff really stepped up to the challenge. They developed new virtual outreach and education strategies. They delivered food and safety supplies and provided really critical mortgage and rental grants. You know, our mission at NHS is to help individuals, families, and neighborhoods to thrive through homeownership. That means to close the racial wealth gap, build cultural and economic legacies, and create communities of choice across our South and our West sides, where low and moderate income residents, most especially residents of color, live because they want to, not because they don't have any other choice. Since our beginning, NHS has worked hard to demolish racist and predatory systems that keep low and moderate income families and people of color from accessing the American dream of homeownership. The support of people like you and the institutions that we proudly call partners is critical for achieving that mission. We have a great program in store for you tonight, including a fascinating discussion with a phenomenal panel of leaders who have focused their own careers on this same mission. And they'll reflect with us tonight on the practical considerations of dismantling long-enduring structures that perpetuate inequities. And tonight, we also have 4 people who have been in the trenches doing the work of helping communities of color to thrive in the face of enormous barriers. We are so proud to be able to uplift their commitment and their accomplishments with you tonight. Thank you again for joining us and for contributing to our mission with your financial support. So let's kick things off with our first award. Congratulations to Maricela Garcia, our 2021 Community Impact Honoree.
The NHS Community Impact Award celebrates inspirational leaders whose service has had substantial impact on Chicago's south and west sides, leading to long-lasting change for residents. This year, NHS is proud to honor Maricela Garcia, CEO of Gads Hill. Maricela's diligent efforts advocating for refugee, immigrant, women, and human rights continue to make an impact across our communities. Her advocacy and community engagement work is devoted to all children and families in Chicago communities. With her leadership, Gads Hill has helped thousands of children and parents each year by providing the education and resources that create resilience, health, and well-being. Maricela has been tireless in her efforts to grow programming for children, youth, and parents so that Chicago's working families can build better lives. Congratulations, Maricela Garcia.
I am honored to receive an award from the Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago, an impactful organization and a great partner. I'm also grateful for the important work of NHS to create opportunities for people to live in affordable homes, improve their lives, and strengthen their neighborhoods, benefiting many of the families that Gads Hill Center serves. The tenet of the work at Gads Hill Center is education. We believe that education has the power to transform families in a single generation. To achieve this transformation, we serve 3,000 children every year from birth to high school graduation. All of them on target for academic outcomes. This achievement would not be possible without access to stable housing, which is, we believe, a human right. The body of research suggests that housing is not critical to meet the basic needs of children. It is also a platform for improving education outcomes. We have come to learn that one of the most important factors in academic success is housing stability. When children have to move often due to gentrification and high cost of housing, the grades are impacted negatively. This is even more problematic if the family becomes homeless. Affordable housing and high quality education go hand in hand in creating opportunities for children and their families to build better lives and achieve their full potential. We greatly appreciate the partnership with affordable housing organizations and with advocacy organizations, because it is through those partnerships that we achieve our missions together. Thank you again for this great honor.
Yeah, I used to live in Noble Square, which is right there at Division in Milwaukee, probably a block or two from the NHS office. So that's how I was kind of familiar with NHS.
So we are a high-end residential interior design firm and are lucky enough to basically design people's dream homes for a living. So this year I really wanted to give back to the community.
Well, I needed siding for my home. I needed a new deck. And little things, I mean, not little things, but things like that.
NHS was very helpful. I mean, they gave me information that was so helpful by the end of the game that, I mean, it was like natural. I mean, everything would just worked out fine. They were very supportive. You can call them anytime if you have any questions.
Not only are you helping people keep their homes and avoid foreclosure, you're also helping educate communities on the benefits of owning your own home, and just there's so much there. And of course, yes, the fact that you're, 45 plus years in business made me feel more comfortable.
Where am I going to get the money from to fix this house, you know? Because like I said, I am retired and I don't have a lot of income coming in, so.
Everyone deserves a home. Everyone should be able to have a home that they can go home to, a home that they can feel comfortable in, a home that makes them feel stable, especially right now.
It made it possible for me to become a homeowner again. And not only a homeowner, but also to provide affordable housing.
My name is Minnie Warren. I live in North Lawndale, and I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to NHS for the help that you've given me.
NHS established the Gail Sincata Community Visionary Award to recognize outstanding community leadership in the effort to rebuild neighborhoods. Gail, long considered the mother of the CRA, worked tirelessly to eliminate redlining and discriminatory practices against low-income communities. She addressed social injustice wherever she saw it. Tonight, co-founders of the Resurrection Project, Raul Raimundo and Raul Hernandez, received this award for their dedication, innovation, and passion in serving Latino communities through their community investment work at TRP. Their vision for social change, beginning with creating safety and security for families, has created powerful momentum for community advocacy and positive change. Congratulations, Raul Raimundo and Raul Hernandez.
Thank you, NHS. Gail Sincata was an inspiration to many community organizers like myself and Raul. Her tireless effort in making CRA a reality is an incredible legacy to live up to. When the Resurrection Project began, we set out to organize relationships and people to act on their faith and values, not to build homes. However, we believe, like NHS, homeownership is a way to build wealth for families. When you buy a home, you're not buying just a piece of property, you're buying part of the community, and we need to cherish that and get residents involved. Thank you to all the financial and community partners for supporting NHS. It takes a tremendous collaboration effort to address the inequities and challenges facing communities of color today.
Thank you, NHS. This is an honor to receive this Gail Sincata Award. When we started this organization, my tocayo and I, we never dreamed to accomplish all what we have. With very little resources, all I wanted was to create a strong future for our kids and a well-better neighborhood for their families in Pilsen. We faced many challenges with gangs, apathy, and education, but here we are 30 years later, taking on more challenges to improve the life of the families and the communities that we serve. So thank you, NHS, for honoring my tocayo and me. We accept this award in memory of our another founding members like Esperanza Godinez, Rose Dominguez, Cecilia Paz, Father Steve, and Father Juan. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The Mentor Board is for young professionals in the Chicagoland area that are looking to network with other professionals, raise money and awareness for housing, for neighborhood housing services.
It's been a really awesome opportunity to meet folks
from a variety of industries that are looking to be involved with an organization that gives back like NHS does.
I think it's important to be a part of stuff that you believe in, and not just, joining boards, but be a part of boards that you actually believe in. And I believe in homeownership as part of the key to wealth building.
When I think of all of the great work that NHS has done, and particularly the work that we've done within the Metro Board, I think of our involvement in NeighborWorks Day, which is always a great way to kind of get out in the community, give back, and really see the folks that you're working with.
Well, I just want to tell everybody, I'm thankful for being a part of NHS. Neighborhood Housing Services has done a lot for our community, and we just want to keep on telling people the good news.
State Farm has a long-standing history of supporting affordable housing efforts that help create stability for families and neighborhoods. State Farm's relationship with Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago began in 1980. Our work together over the years in the form of supporting NeighborWorks Day, new homebuyer education, home safety programming, and foreclosure prevention workshops all work together to support housing security and build stronger communities. State Farm is grateful for our relationship with NHS Chicago, and we look forward to all that we will accomplish in the future.
I'm Toni Preckwinkle, President of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, and I'd like to thank NHS for their good work supporting our residents as they seek to buy, fix up, or keep their residences. I'd like to commend and congratulate your new CEO, Anthony Simpkins, a longtime advocate for affordable housing, and a colleague of mine when I was alderman in the city of Chicago. This has been an extraordinarily challenging year, and we must all do everything we can to support our communities. My administration is committed to equitable housing policies and programs, and to building strong communities throughout the county. Our efforts are strengthened by the good work of organizations like NHS. We look forward to a continued partnership serving the families and communities of Cook County. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tony Smith and I serve on the board of NHS. I also give personally because I know that NHS does more than make home possible. We infuse families with hope. We help them turn the disappointment of life circumstances into belief and self-confidence, and at best, create champions of a spirit. And that transformation is something special.
The NHS Transformative Impact Award was recently created to highlight the vital role of civic leaders in supporting mission-driven work and forwarding social change. For his lifelong dedication and service to the affordable housing sector, NHS is proud to honor King Harris. King's contributions to affordable housing, housing research, policy and advocacy, accessible housing, and most recently, housing opportunities for the formerly incarcerated, has led to more stable communities throughout Chicagoland and beyond. He has been a strong proponent of the key role housing plays in improving the lives and well-being of children and families. King's statewide philanthropy and national and international contributions to the housing field have earned him this prestigious award. Congratulations, King Harris.
It is an honor to receive an award from Neighborhood Housing Services, an organization I've admired for more than 20 years. As I think back over the 20 years I have been actively involved in affordable housing projects in the Chicago metropolitan area, I realize how lucky I have been to meet and work with a remarkable group of advocates who collectively have spurred cities and communities in Illinois to create housing that moderate and lower income families can afford. Among those advocates have been outstanding NHS leaders like Bruce Gottshaw, Ed Jacobs, Kristen Faust, and now Anthony Simpkins. As a group, we have reason to be proud of what we have accomplished here in Illinois, but of course there is much to be done. We still have a major shortage of affordable housing, both in the city and especially in the suburbs. We need to pour far more money into housing rehab, especially when it comes to 1 to 4 unit dwellings. We need more permanent supportive housing, probably as much as 20,000 more units to meet unmet needs, and we need the service dollars to support it. We have to make more inroads in terms of eliminating homelessness, especially chronic homelessness. And we need more transitional housing, both to serve the temporary homeless and also those who are leaving the Illinois Department of Corrections each year. And now we have a unique opportunity to push our agenda. We have friends at the city's Department of Housing and at the Illinois Housing Development Authority. We also have legislators who are paying more attention to housing issues. Yes, we can make it happen. Let's move forward.
Hi, I'm Vicki Arroyo, and let me tell you why NHS is so valuable. The work of making the dream of homeownership a reality for so many is vital, but helping people keep their homes when faced with difficult times is a valuable service too. NHS staff members aren't afraid to roll up their sleeves and put boots on the ground to make sure that essential needs are met, and their service doesn't stop at establishing homeownership. Whether it's reducing violence, finding solutions to food insecurity, or protecting elders from COVID-19 scams, NHS is there as a reliable and trusted resource and partner for them. I proudly serve on the board, and I proudly support the organization and encourage others to do so.
Hello, I'm Marcia Cruzan, Regional President for U.S. Bank here in Chicago and proud trustee of Neighborhood Housing Services. U.S. Bank is focused on closing the gap between people and possibility. We believe everyone deserves an opportunity to achieve financial stability, and we know access to safe, affordable housing is a key part of that. We also know that home ownership strengthens our communities. It's because of this commitment to home ownership that we've partnered with Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago for more than 25 years. Keep up the great work at NHS. Your efforts are needed now more than ever.
At PNC, we're proud to support Neighborhood Housing Services in its work to create opportunities for people to live in affordable homes, improve their lives, and strengthen their neighborhoods. Now it's raising the bar on what a housing agency can achieve, and I'm proud to stand beside NHS to ensure race, income, and status are no longer barriers to family and community well-being.
Well, I've been around the NeighborWorks family of programs since 1975. It's the only program that deals with single family, right? And it's about neighborhood stability, it's about economic vitality, and it's about home ownership. Home ownership is a path towards wealth building, and it is important for an organization like Neighborhood Housing Services to continue to work on that task. Well, it was an idea that took root here at NHS and involved Ed Williams, Bruce Gottschall, and myself in trying to come up with an idea of raising capital from private individuals who had an interest in serving the Chicago market, and especially in serving the Chicago market in neighborhoods where NHS has got really concentration. The three of us committed to providing a special grant to NHS. Each of us kicked in some money, and then we went about calling all of our friends. So I would welcome anybody in the audience who wants to join the Cornerstone Society to give us a call.
Wow. NHS has a long track record of doing great things for the city of Chicago and communities of color. As you have just seen and heard from some of our strongest long-term supporters and some friends who are new to us, we are truly grateful for your dedication to creating financial equity, revitalizing the South and West Sides of Chicago, and creating thriving neighborhoods of choice. Now's the time, as an NHS Central Board member, that I ask you to join me in investing in NHS programs and services. Ask you to think, what is hope? What are you most proud of? For me, it's knowing that my life matters and that it's relevant. And this means I've done everything in my power to make the world better. Part of that is a commitment to give. Understand that when you make a contribution to NHS, you're changing the lives of entire families, helping them find the security of home, to make it more likely that their children will realize their potential, improve entire neighborhoods, and perhaps help them actualize hope. Contributions made tonight will be doubled with the help of valued donors who have pledged gifts amounting to $7,500 in matching funds. Thank you, Liberty Bank, and our very own Transformative Impact honoree, King Harris. No other agency is able to deliver what NHS brings to our communities, so please join me in giving to NHS. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Tony, for being with us tonight and for your long-standing and amazing support of NHS. And, you know, we want to also thank those donors who have contributed already and made their gifts, and a special thanks to US Bank and their $10,000 contribution towards the match. And also a special thanks to our board members, Bruce Martin and Lawrence Grisham, and our Director of Construction Services, Hector Gonzalez. Wow, just amazing. Thank you, everyone. And let's keep the momentum going as we move into our next section, which is our panel discussion. You know, racial and economic equity are at the forefront of our public discourse today. Over 45 years ago, NHS was founded specifically to combat inequities in mortgage lending and access to home ownership, which, as we've said, is the cornerstone of building generational wealth for families in America. Redlining and other racist policies have largely locked many African Americans and other minorities out of the American dream for generations. And this has had far-reaching effects, not only on the families themselves, but the financial, social, and physical well-being of both people of color and their communities. But how do we dismantle these structures to achieve equity and inclusion and diversity? How do we ensure that long-entrenched systems don't continue to reinforce inequity? Our topic tonight centers on exactly that, equity, how access to capital and opportunity can close the racial wealth gap. What are some tangible steps that we can take to address systemic racism? We are discussing this topic tonight with a panel of experts, each enormously successful in their own right, but each also enormously dedicated and doing the real work to promote equity, inclusion, and access in their respective fields. Please welcome King Harris, Board Chair of the Illinois Housing Development Authority, John Rogers Jr., Co-CEO and Chief Investment Officer at Ariel Investments, Scott Swanson, President, PNC Illinois, and Andrea Zopp, Managing Partner with Cleveland Avenue. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm very excited to have you guys on the panel with us. You know, let's start the discussion off by talking about the role and responsibilities of corporate America in closing the racial wealth gap. You know, historically in America, one of the principal avenues for building generational wealth has been through home ownership. But you know, when NHS finances a home purchase or a home renovation, we also create opportunities for many small minority businesses, from contractors to brokers, architects, and suppliers. John, Ariel Investments is the first Black-owned investment firm in the country. You have been a consistent proponent for corporate diversity. But in addition to improving internal diversity, what are some ways you think that corporations can also create opportunities for minority-owned businesses?
Well, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here and to talk about this. And one of the key things that I start with is just to say the wealth gap in this country has gotten tremendously worse over the last 40 years. Professor Kerwin Charles, who's now the dean of Yale's Business School, says that relative to white Americans, African Americans today are worse off than our grandparents were. And the Federal Reserve of St. Louis has data that shows between 1992 and 2016, college-educated African Americans saw their wealth decline 10%, while college-educated whites saw their wealth increase over 96%. So it's a huge problem. And when it comes to Black business, the heart of your question, roughly 20 years ago, if you look at the top 150 privately held companies in Chicago, 3 of them were African American owned. Today, 0 of the top 150 on the Crain's list of 150 most powerful privately held companies. So we've gone backwards substantially. I think that is a key. What I think we have to do with corporate America is to play the Harold Washington, Maynard Jackson playbook and use African American firms in everything that a corporation does across the board to get rid of the term supplier diversity and replace it with what the University of Chicago calls business diversity, which signals to buyers that when you're hiring a law firm, you're hiring an accounting firm, you're hiring an advertising agency, a public relations firm, a technology firm, a money manager, whatever it is, you want to make sure you're including everyone in everything that's being spent by that corporation or a major nonprofit in town, and get away from this idea that it's all around supply chain, construction, and things that go around building a new building. Because as we all know, the economy has become a professional services, financial services, and technology-based economy. And if you only get an opportunity in construction and catering, there's no way that you're going to make even a dent in the wealth gap that's getting worse and worse in our country. So corporate America has a responsibility to step up, be transparent with how they spend their money, again, get rid of the term supplier diversity and make it business diversity, and make a commitment to use African Americans in every aspect of the spend, and also Latinx folks. And we'll be able to then start to make progress in this huge problem that our city faces and our country faces.
That's very interesting. That sounds like there also needs to be some efforts to increase diversity amongst minority-owned businesses themselves. You talked a lot about sort of the professional services sector. Do we need to be doing more to create more minority-owned businesses across many different sectors?
Well, that's true, but clearly, if there's demand, we will fill that demand. And in a lot of areas, we've been around forever. My mom graduated from University of Chicago Law School in 1946. That is a long, long time ago. And still today, there are no really major Black law firms of scale in the city of Chicago. We haven't made progress. So we have to make sure that we could have large Black law firms if people knew that corporations and nonprofits were going to work with Black law firms. I'm sure that we would have firms that were 100 people or more that could make the Crain's list of top 50, top 150. But there's got to be a real intentionality. The final thing is that the University of Chicago has the best model of this in the country. They work with now 95 professional services firms. President Zimmer has been extraordinarily supportive of this. McDonald's, of course, has a great record of not only Black franchisees, but also major suppliers of all kinds of products, because they've been intentional about working with Black businesses. And all of a sudden, they actually helped put African-American entrepreneurs in business to take over big suppliers of McDonald's. So people can do it if they really want to see Black wealth and economic opportunity that's fair here in our city.
Well, thanks for that, John. Andrea, you're in your new role at Cleveland Avenue, you're going to be addressing some of the issues of providing access to capital so that we can grow some of these minority businesses. But even before you were at Cleveland Avenue, you held many roles, right? You were head of the Urban League, you were a senior mayoral advisor, you were even a Senate candidate, and you really got to know a lot of our Chicago communities and the residents really intimately. Based upon your experience, what are some of the ways that both government and business and nonprofits can really sort of work together in a collaborative way to address some of these equity issues that we're talking about?
Well, Anthony, and thanks for having me tonight. I'm happy to be here to support NHS. Look, I think that that we have lots of examples of how we can work together. The business sector, government, philanthropy can come together. NHS is one. Cast Us, the fund that we just launched at Cleveland Avenue, that's going to invest in medium, not medium, but invest in Black-owned and Latinx and women-owned businesses is another. But we can look across communities. If you look at the work that's been done by David Doig and CNI and Pullman, that's supported by the private sector and by philanthropy. The work that the city is doing in Invest Southwest. I think we have a lot of examples in Chicago about how when we focus on an issue, we can come together and make a difference. Community development is not just another one, it's a critically important one where we can make a huge difference. We have already in a number of settings, but we have more, as we've already started to talk about, and we will talk about, we have more work to do.
Well, thank you for that. And your mentioning of community development, I think often people don't realize that promoting homeownership is a community development tool in and of itself. King Harris, you've often discussed the importance of housing in increasing community and family well-being. You even said that better homes lead to better lives. I have really worked on these same issues of affordable housing and community revitalization for decades. You've been a strong proponent of really focused rehabilitation efforts. NHS has done some of that work, like our super block strategy that we deployed in West Humboldt Park. Talk a little bit about why you think rehabs should play a central role in community revitalization and affordable housing.
I think we all should remember that when the Illinois Housing Development Authority supports the construction of a new multifamily development, for example, the average cost per unit is roughly $300,000, maybe $300,000 to $350,000. For the same single unit of new multifamily housing, we could be rehabbing 4 units, 4 homes, or 4 1 to 4 unit dwellings per unit in Chicago's neighborhoods. So think of it this way: if I came to in a given neighborhood, south or west neighborhood, I was going to build a 50 unit structure. You'd say that's wonderful. That one structure will help the community. After all, 50 new housing units. But I would say maybe a better strategy would be to rehab 200 dwellings throughout a given neighborhood, kind of following what NHS does right now. I think that would have an enormous impact on the neighborhood. And if you listen carefully to what Mayor Lightfoot is talking about doing, she wants to transform neighborhoods. Well, the kind of investing I'm talking about would do that. So I'm a large believer in rehab. I think we underinvest in rehab in our national programs, our state programs, even in our local programs. We can do a lot more. And as was pointed out earlier, if you do rehab at the scale I'm talking about, you're going to create employment for thousands of people who can learn trades or improve their skills in given trades and really help neighborhood employment as well. So why do I like rehab? Because I think it may be the key to neighborhood revitalization.
Well, thank you, King. And these are exactly the neighborhoods that we operate in at NHS. Often these neighborhoods are really undervalued, right? And does that create impediments to that kind of rehabilitation strategy?
Well, remember this, if you have rehab to the level I'm talking about, I think property values in a given neighborhood are going to go up. I think that's proven. I guess one of the concerns that's a leading housing expert in the area expressed to me recently was, if we're too successful at it, we got to be careful to make sure we preserve affordable housing in the neighborhood. What we don't want is, hey, we are greatly successful, but now you cannot buy a home for less than $300,000. That's not going to succeed either. So we need to rehab, but there's a way to do this, to provide rehab loans to people who own, especially owner-occupied 1 to 4 unit dwellings. Improve, Mr. Owner, Mrs. Owner, fix your own unit up, but then let's preserve the affordability of the 1 or 2 or 3 additional units you have in your property for the next 30 years. That would be very attractive as far as I'm concerned.
That's a fascinating idea. And you know, the undervaluation of many of our neighborhoods of color is a legacy of redlining. Scott, as a leader of a major financial institution, we know that banks and even the federal government itself played a large role in redlining and the legacy that it's left in its wake. What do you see as some of the responsibilities of banks in particular in addressing some of the systemic barriers to wealth generation in our communities of color?
Well, you know, I think a lot has been highlighted in terms of kind of the complexity of the issues that we have. John obviously had highlighted the lack of participation in many parts of our economy that have driven wealth and opportunity. And as King has highlighted, you know, if you look at kind of housing within Chicago as an example, you know, there are about 500,000 homeowners in Chicago, within that homeowner set, about 45% of all households in Chicago own their home, but actually within African American communities, that drops below 40%. So access and opportunity to own housing is critically important. But you know, it is complex in that when you look at the values within neighborhoods, you know, we need to look at a variety of systemic issues that are unfortunately driving or suppressing down values: public safety, the quality of the schools, lack of public amenities, the quality of the streetscapes and public spaces, access to public transportation. And so as you look at those things, you really need to find ways, and certainly the financial services industry, banks, need to find ways to address this in a more comprehensive way. You know, some of that comes through charitable giving to organizations that are investing within communities in the most effective ways, job training and career opportunities, which tie into what John had referenced. But then as we try to increase homeownership, housing and down payment assistance, obviously neighborhood housing services playing a critical role in that effort. Entrepreneurial support so that we can help to develop new business opportunities, improve opportunities for the development of business. Organizations like Sunshine Enterprises, very, very effective in that area. And of course, then on the nonprofit lending side, our CDFIs play a critical role to provide capital where has not been available through more traditional means. And banks certainly need to be active in supporting our CDFIs. Consumer education, you know, monetary and technical support for housing. You know, there's so many different ways, obviously, that neighborhood housing services plays a role in this, but it's really a more comprehensive effort amongst organizations that's really critical to ensure that not only are we creating access to housing, increasing home ownership, and preparing communities as homeowners, but then also making the other investments to ensure sustained neighborhoods that will increase in value, thrive, become you know, the opportunity for increased investment. And so we need to address it all. And banks actually have the ability and should be providing the support through this complex you know, constituency of organizations to ensure that we're driving that because this isn't a single issue that needs to be addressed.
Well, thank you, Scott. You know, Andy, circling back around to you, you know, Scott talks about this idea of comprehensive community development, which I think is really critical. NHS has worked in that area quite a bit. through our participation in, say, for instance, the Choice Neighborhoods and the Renew Woodlawn program, where we're looking at more than just housing. But you know, you worked in a lot of these same neighborhoods that we're talking about in many different ways. And I'm wondering, what do you see as some of the most common and pervasive social and economic barriers to generating thriving communities?
Well, I think we've touched on them. John's touched on them. First of all, it is comprehensive. I think oftentimes we haven't been particularly strategic. We put we make this, particularly from a government perspective, we put a new park here, we invest in a school here. We don't look at it from the neighborhood, from the total neighborhood perspective. We stopped, we tried, the city has tried to be a little bit more strategic, and that's why I think you see things like in Inglewood, when you brought in the Whole Foods, there's also been some housing development. You also brought in the city's facilities management, put their new headquarters over there. There's also now economic development, businesses going in there as well around 63rd and Halsted. It was part of the city's Invest Southwest announcement. So you see all these pieces coming together. There's a new high school, brand new high school in Inglewood as well. So you see these pieces coming together that touch on the factors that Scott mentioned that impact how financing banks and other institutions look at financing homes. So you have to have all those pieces. That's hard to do. You have to be strategic. You have to coordinate with partners on the public and the private sector, but it can be done. We've done it. We're starting to do it in Inglewood. It's starting to happen in Bronzeville. It's being done in Pullman. We have the Greater Chatham initiative has been doing that work in Chatham. So it's starting to happen, but it takes focus and consistency and really creating these neighborhoods that middle-class families want to be in and have opportunities. We know what good neighborhoods look like. We just have to come together to make the investments to make them happen.
So, thank you, Andrea. And we often look to government to help us solve these problems. But John, talk a little bit about the role that private capital can play in this kind of comprehensive development.
Well, I think a couple of things. I think that government has always played a huge, huge role, and I think we need to not all be so dependent on government. We should be able to get the nonprofits, the museums, hospitals, and universities in our community to work with Black businesses as well as the corporate community. I think that's critically important. I should have mentioned Exelon earlier, Andy's old firm. Bill Von Haney has left a great initiative there to not only work with Black businesses, but insist that all their majority suppliers have African American and Latino leadership on the relationship with Exelon, and has really driven change. And that creates a generation of more successful African American entrepreneurs and business leaders who can then help fund the next generation of entrepreneurs. If you have successful businesses, we employ each other, we support each other's businesses, we invest in each other's businesses, we create philanthropy for our own community. So it's so important for that to happen. And then finally, as everyone you touched on, access to capital is very important. But I always tell people access to customers is just as important. I was talking to a friend the other day who's got a marketing company, and we were talking about banks loaning money to small businesses. And I said, would you rather have the contract to do marketing at JP Morgan Chase or get a micro loan from JP Morgan Chase? She said, of course, I'd much rather have the contract. I think all of us that are in business understand that we need to have opportunities to get the opportunity to do business with all these major anchor institutions in our local community.
Well, thanks, John. King, so if we can get government and nonprofits and private capital together to start looking at this kind of comprehensive development. So say, for instance, like an effort like Invest Southwest, right? They've got big RFPs out to these big signature anchor developments. But what role does homeownership and rehab play in filling out that kind of neighborhood revitalization effort?
Well, let's remember that if you want stability in a neighborhood, if you want to have stronger schools and everything, you need home ownership. uh, to whatever extent we can expand home ownership in those neighborhoods, we're going to have stronger communities, more prosperous communities, and stability. We haven't said anything about the 15 to 20,000 school-aged children in Chicago who are homeless. Well, if you have serious homelessness in a given area, how can you have stability? Another problem I've been working on lately is the issue of people leaving the Illinois Department of Corrections who have served out their sentences and they want to re-engage in the world. But if we don't have housing opportunities of some kind for these people, especially when they typically return to the neighborhoods they came from, we'll destabilize those neighborhoods as well. So to achieve the vision we're all talking about, which is comprehensive development, we also need to very carefully think about what we can do to ensure stability in those neighborhoods. I happen to be very proud of the fact that IDA, the State Housing Development Authority, finances 1 out of every 10 first-time homeowner mortgages. And you want to hear another interesting fact. The average purchase price of a home under that program is $139,000. It's not $250,000, it's not $300,000, it's about $140,000. Now our range goes from $20,000 to almost $400,000, but the key is what the average is, $140,000. At that rate, people can afford to buy homes in these neighborhoods and stabilize them.
Can you build them? But that means, so if the average is 140,000, those are rehabbed homes, right? That's somebody that's buying a home, not building a home, right?
Correct. If you said to me we should be able to build homes in like the New Homes for Chicago program and build them for under $200,000, based on what I know today, that's going to be a real stretch. Unless maybe they're townhomes. I would rather focus, though, on existing homes and fixing them up. If you want to have homes, there are ways to do it, but it would take some major changes, for example, in permitting. One of my favorite subjects is prevailing wage. I've debated with very thoughtful, serious union people on this subject, but you have to wonder if we had a waiver of prevailing wage laws for affordable housing in some of these neighborhoods, I think we'd put tens of thousands of people over a period of years back to work. And I do not think we would undermine the very well-meaning union network in Chicago. Because if nobody's building these homes, then who's losing their jobs? Nobody's losing their jobs. And like it or not, prevailing wage significantly adds to the cost of a home. Just to compare the cost of a new home being built in the western suburbs, the far western suburbs, to a new home attempting to be built in the city of Chicago.
We know, King, NHS is working right now under our disruptive design competition program to try and come up with a new construction home design that we can put in the ground for $250 or less. But as you all know, and certainly Andy does, there's plenty of existing vacant and deteriorated housing stock that needs to be attacked to not only remove blight, but to create home ownership opportunities for people all across the South and the West Side. Scott, talk a little bit about certainly PNC and many of the large financial institutions do both investment and philanthropy. What do you see as the mix in deploying both investment and philanthropy to help to support some of these kinds of initiatives?
Well, it obviously takes both. I mean, I think a lot of the strategic investment that supports programs, as King has highlighted, the opportunities to help to restore or to rehab homes, to create access to more affordable housing through restoration or rehabbing, particularly given the costs of of building new homes in our cities and in some of our most plighted neighborhoods, and finding a way to repurpose and create that opportunity. And so I think when you look at the combination of the ways that the banking industry, financial services industry has been able to leverage CDFIs who are embedded in our communities, listening to the voices of our communities in terms of the greatest opportunity, again, in the backdrop of that comprehensive approach to ensure that we are investing in the needs of the community, which is well beyond the housing, but actually ensuring, for example, as Andy had highlighted, we were involved in the construction of Whole Foods in Inglewood. I mean, the idea that we are eliminating food deserts, that we are challenging ourselves to ensure that we eliminate the lack of access to public transportation, schools. I think it's really that balance between where there's opportunities through philanthropy and grants to support many organizations that are doing great work within our communities, but also recognizing that capital investment is critically important, and a lot of that can be accomplished through the way in which we're leveraging those partnerships in the way that we invest.
Yeah, well, thank you, Scott. And I think you're absolutely right. Partnerships is really key to this, and we certainly appreciate PNC's partnership with NHS. We're actually, we could talk about this with you guys all night. It looks like we're coming close to the end. What I'd like to do is maybe ask each of you guys for just some closing thoughts. I mean, NHS is working at the really at the intersection of the racial wealth gap, right? Trying to create home ownership, and in doing that, also create economic opportunities for both individuals and businesses in our communities. And I'd like to get some of your thoughts on how we begin to really aggressively move those efforts at closing the racial wealth gap forward. John, why don't we start with you?
Well, I've had a chance to sort of say what I think. I kind of stay on message. I think it's just so critically important that people follow in Bob Zimmer's leadership role. He understood that if anchor institutions like the University of Chicago didn't work with Black and brown businesses and didn't insist that their suppliers had minority partners and managing directors on the relationship with the university, people would be hard pressed for our community to get wealthier and have equal opportunity for next generation of entrepreneurs to come along that can be so powerful in our community. We used to have a history here of outstanding businesses that are all gone. But when George Johnson, for example, had Johnson Products, not only did he employ 500 people, but he did business with Burrell Advertising, advertised on Ebony and Jet. He created, with Don Cornelius, Soul Train. He built the largest Black bank in the country, Independence Bank. He worked with my mom's law firm. He was a one-person ecosystem. And while he was at it, he would be responsible for 70 tables at the Urban League dinner every year. And he would be there to help Dr. King and Harold Washington when those folks needed desperate funds to achieve their goals. We need to bring back that kind of powerful leadership that could have such a positive impact on our community and our society, and be able to create our own opportunities in our own communities.
That's really some amazing history. Andy, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you think? How do we continue that kind of legacy of community building?
What he said, no, actually, but I think it's really important I think we've all touched on the various aspects. I think the most important thing for people to know that I think we all instinctually know is it's not one topic. There's not one way to solve this problem. We have to create opportunities for Black entrepreneurs to really grow their business, not just to have a business and have it stumble on, but to grow it and expand it. And that includes creating opportunities for them and includes providing access to capital for them so that they can have the resources they need to grow. We need to invest in communities and housing. Housing has always been a source of wealth for individuals in this country that Black people for many, many years were very shut out of. So that's the work that you do. We need to have government invest in communities and the resources and transportation and education in the schools. So it's all those components that will focus on, that will help decrease the gap. And it really requires all of us in each of our sectors to be engaged and committed to the effort.
Well, thank you, Andy. And I know, King, that you have some really specific ideas about the role of government, philanthropy, and private capital in this kind of community revitalization. You have any final thoughts for us?
I want to talk for a minute about an initiative that Mayor Lightfoot, or candidate Lightfoot, presented to voters when she ran for office. She had an idea of increasing the real estate transfer tax in the city for very high-level sales of buildings. And she claimed, and I think correctly, that doing that would raise somewhere between $70 and $150 million a year per year. Let's say 100 million. At the time, she focused on homelessness. I think if she rethought that today, she might say, I'll tell you what, I like the idea, but let's focus that money on neighborhood revitalization. And we can use that money in a whole variety of ways. We can support developers who are growing, or minority developers who need some capital to expand their businesses. We can loan them money and probably get it back and then some. We can put money into rehab. We could also probably support organizations within those communities that are building the communities, like one of my favorites, the Resurrection Project, who you honored tonight properly. They've done a wonderful job through the years in doing just what we're talking about, spreading their development role well beyond just housing into banking, social services, and other things. This is a winning strategy. We need to encourage it.
Well, thank you, King. And I think you're right. We certainly, if we're going to tackle this systemic problem, we have to think bold, we have to think big, and we have to think outside of the box. Scott, what do you think? Give us some final guidance.
Well, we've obviously got just some extraordinary leaders that I'm honored to be a part of on this panel, as well as the great leadership. And Anthony, welcome for you at this first year of this important event. But I think it's really, I think we are at a point where, encouragingly, the intolerance for the lack of progress that we've made is behind us, and that the level of collaboration, the recognition that although there have been significant investments made in the past, we haven't thought strategically, comprehensively in the way that we need to truly drive sustainable change. And we've highlighted lots of the different ways that needs to occur. I think, as John highlighted, it's really ensuring that we create full participation in the economy and in industries that have driven so much wealth within this country. The opportunity to have access to a home, which is not only through the programs in ensuring we have enough housing and essential housing, but also access to lending products. We need to challenge ourselves to ensure that we have created the solutions, the financial solutions, the support, really to encourage and accelerate opportunities for home ownership. But then again, as I highlighted earlier, it's those comprehensive investments we need to make in communities so that truly you create a sustainable opportunity for all of the families and individuals that live and want to raise their families and stay, to ensure that stability, that safety, and that opportunity. And that will drive increased values, opportunity, wealth, the investment within the communities, and the entrepreneurial opportunities that are driven from that. So, I think it's been great to be a part of a panel that highlights so many of the critical ways that we approach it.
Well, thank you, Scott, and thank all of you all for being on the panel with us tonight. Just cannot thank you enough for your contributions, not just your contributions to this event tonight, but really your contributions throughout your careers to the fight that we are fighting, which is to bring equity and revitalization to our South and our West Side neighborhoods, our low-mod neighborhoods, and our communities of color. We look forward to continuing to think out of the box with each of you as we move forward. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you. I want to again thank our panel for joining us tonight. I think it was a fascinating conversation, and we certainly could have carried this conversation on for many hours. These are complex issues, but these are issues, as you can see from that conversation, that NHS is really at the heart of these issues. Community revitalization, homeownership, and creating opportunities for generational wealth, supporting small local businesses and the growth of minority businesses. This is the work that NHS does on a daily basis, as well as supporting the residents and the families with the help that they need in each of our communities. We could not do this incredibly important work without the people that have joined us tonight and the support that you provide individually and through the institutions that we call partners. So please continue to support us with your partnerships, with your financial contributions, with your thought leadership, and we will continue to do this work and to grow this work and continue to help the residents of Chicago and the surrounding suburbs to create thriving communities of choice where people live because that's where they want to be. So thank you again for joining us tonight and for your financial contributions, because that's what keeps this organization moving forward and our great staff working on behalf of our residents. Thanks.